Yo, we did it, everybody. We made it to March. It's one of the celebrated days of the year. If you live in upstate New York, we have so much to get through in the email today or in the show. I don't even know where to start, but we got to start somewhere. So let's start with the music.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare with me.
I think before we start anything, if you're on the podcast, you're just going to miss out on this one if you're not live streaming. But we have the official Automotive State of the Union packing tape. Water activated. This is the
we learned something.
Well, I was going to pretend that it was on purpose. First of all, we have this very fun, festive roll of tape. If you're on the podcast, it's got all kinds of hand illustrated items on it. It's a lot of fun. Get some swag because you want some of this tape. Go ahead, Kyle. Talk about our mistake.
It was a mistake, but also like we're stepping up in the world, right? You know that when you order tape and it comes and it needs to be water activated in order to seal properly on the box, you know you have arrived. It's like, all right. So you look at the Amazon packing tape, and what we now realize after a little bit of research is they actually water activate that stuff. It's got all the rib stuff to make sure that it's supported. It can't be ripped off the box. It's tamper-proof. It's the whole 9 yards, right? So we're stepping up in the game. So really, honestly, this is what I love. I love packaging. You know, we talk about this all the time. We love packaging. We love that like little brand experience that's just a little bit above like just getting the item. And we hope that if you order some swag, you get a little bit of excitement around just looking around the packing tape and
have your pocket knife ready.
Feel.
Yeah, have your pocket knife. We should actually tape a pocket knife to the outside of the. No, let's not do that. Bad idea. Oh, we have a lot of stuff going on today. A few things to talk about. We just noticed this morning, Danielle sent us a text message at 6:30 a.m. Hey, the NADA app is populated. I was like, did you have an alert for that? It's populated. It's up. Not a ton of information yet, but if you're going to NADA, download the app and you can start tapping around, and we'll be on there soon enough. You can be on there. Swag orders are going out. Right. Speaking of swag, we got a couple notes. If you have won some rewards, if you ordered some swag, we apologize. It's taken so long. Let's just blame COVID and supply chain delays like everyone else in the world. But it has taken us a little longer. One of the things actually that held us up is the foam that goes under the stitching on the puff embroidery hats. It's black foam because it's black on black. So like if we put white foam, you might see some of the white come through. That's why it's the puff embroidery. So like, there you go. At least we can substantiate our claim. Yeah. So we have a few things to talk about today, news-wise. But Kyle, first, let's talk about some positive things in the world and in the auto industry, because there's enough challenge going on. Let's talk about something positive.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. We got an email, and if you don't know, we've got a landing page on our website. It's asodu.com/positivity. So if you know of anything going on in the industry that's like, this is really good, dealership is doing something for the community, we want to hear about it, and we're going to highlight it just like this. So yesterday, Eric Hall of Classic Chevrolet in Texas let us know, Grapevine. Let us know about some cool stuff that they are doing with a local blood drive supplier, so Carter BloodCare, and they are actually giving away a Chevy Spark based on blood donations. So just a really cool thing that they're doing, giving back to the community. Which what I really love is it wasn't just like a handout, right? It was like, hey, we're going to draw the community in, ask them to give back through a blood drive. We're going to reward that and supply the blood drive center with the capacity to give something away. So it was just like this whole wrapping the arms around the community thing that happened there. So
and they actually delivered the news at a high school pep rally, which is pretty cool.
That's really
imagine a high school pep rally. I have to read it again. Was it 4 high school students that gave blood? It seems like that would make sense. That would make sense on why they've had it. But imagine you're in a high school, right? And you donate some blood, and that nice, healthy, young blood, right? It's like you donate some blood, and like they call your name and you run down the center court and you get the car. Like that is like the high schooler's dream. It's amazing. Yeah. I drove by, came from Classic today. I drove by Classic Chevrolet last week.
Yeah, you were right there.
I drove by and I was like, that is a big Chevy store.
Actually, you know what? Just another story there, right? Is last week when there were people really close to Grapevine, like yourself, a bunch of dealers, there was a big ice storm and everybody was having trouble finding rides or getting on planes and all this type of stuff. And the team at Classic just kind of came around those people that It wasn't a customer. It wasn't someone that's going to spend money with them. It was just other dealers helping other dealers. And they were like getting rides for people, sending people in loaners, getting people to airports or across the state of Texas. So really cool to just see like dealers helping other dealers with no agenda. Right. Yeah. Really, really, really neat. So, great team over there.
Let's just pile on the accolades on Classic Chevy right now. Cause when dealers, I was in that ice storm and it was different. Everybody's driving really slow. It was different. It was Texas weather, and dealers need to get around from the event I was at. And wouldn't you know it, the 2 Suburbans with dealer plates showed up to help move the dealers around. So they were serving dealers. None of their dealers were even there. It's just good on Classic today. Oh, our boy Patrick Abad says we should give it
always thinking
most impactful dealer community story at the end of the year. I love that idea. We should make that happen, and they should get some shout outs on some kind of troublemaker. I was thinking this year, maybe like we did this troublemaker deck of cards, right? If you were at the Vegas event, you could see it. We had a deck of troublemakers, and Brian Kramer with his sunglasses on. So good.
There you go.
But maybe we should do like a whole deck of cards this year, like 52, like playing cards.
Yes.
All right.
You know what? And we should just throw like whole dealerships in there, like sketch up the dealership. That'd be really fun.
Challenge accepted. All right. The ideas are just flowing this morning. Let's get into some news. It is our desire to draw a big circle around everyone in the industry, not just the executives who are important, not just the high level people, but we want to get everybody from the lot porter all the way up through the dealership owner thinking and talking about the same things. We're going to make a concerted effort to educate the industry on certain things about the industry. And this is probably going to be one of the first times we intentionally do it. There was an article or a blog that this morning from our friend Earl Stewart down in Palm Beach, Florida. And he was talking about, dealers charging certain amounts and like the dealer perception or customer perception on the dealers. And that's how Earl rolls. We linked it up in the show notes if you want to check it out. But he did a great summary of why the auto industry is the way it is. And I read it and I was like, I bet 70% of the people in this industry don't even know how the industry came about. And so
like the whole franchise story and how franchise came to exist, how it was protecting not just the dealer, but the consumer. And actually the franchise model was set up in order to give communities like more of the capacity that a dealer does, like that we talk about a lot, right? Access to vehicles, community impact from jobs created, all of that type of stuff. It was set up for that. That was its purpose. Its original purpose was to do everything that we're talking about it that it can do. But this is what's crazy. At the end of the article, this was Earl's prediction, right? And I'm going to read it word for word because it's not my words. He says, I'm predicting that the current unconscionable, out of control pricing of new cars precipitated by the pandemic induced high demand, low supply will be the straw that breaks the back of the antiquated car dealer franchises system, immunity from the regulation by laws and their manufacturers. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is. And we'll tie to a Wall Street Journal we have teed up here as well to kind of tie into that. If you didn't know, like manufacturers, Ford was the first major manufacturer. They found out how to make cars in mass. They needed people to sell them. So they had contracts with local franchise dealers, but they were only like a year or two long. They could cancel them for any reason. Like even if like you didn't sell as many as we wanted you to sell, you're canceled. And meanwhile, they needed to leverage entrepreneurs, small businesses to actually build the network to distribute the vehicles. So that's when the dealers began to organize, right? And now we have NADA, we have dealer organizations to say, hey, like we can't operate in these conditions. And actually Ford was really surprised to see the amount of leverage that dealers had in their local communities.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like the principle of like, that's why if you're living in and working in a dealership like Classic Chevrolet, you realize you have a disproportionate amount of pull in your local community.
Absolutely.
And that works in the manufacturer's favor, right? Because they can't have that. It's what we talk about. Like, here's something Carvana can never do, right?
Yes.
They can never be in all the places we are. They can never know the people and know the lives and know the stories. And they can write checks and donate money, but to where and to how? Exactly. And so Jim Farley already gave a warning shot. It's true. It's true. So if you didn't know, that's where this industry came from. The franchise model that you're a part of today is because Ford made vehicles. They needed somebody to distribute them. They enlisted entrepreneurs and business people to build a network to sell them. And then things got dicey. Dealers banded together and said, hey, we need some rational and reasonable agreements, right?
Yep.
So that we can continue to do this. And now the pendulum swung all the way. Here we are in 2022. And now OEMs are like, hey, you really need to do things a different way, or the consumers are onto it. And, you know, it's affecting us, it's affecting you, it's affecting them, right? Everything now, because of technology, right, is interconnected. It's very efficient market, very efficient market. So there's a little lesson in where we came from, and a little reminder, if you already knew, that we are just on the, you know, over 100-year legacy of something that started way back then. It's an amazing thing, and we're still doing amazing things. So,
and here's the thing, like, we are convinced, myself, Paul, so many of the troublemakers, so many of the people that are maybe listening to this, we are convinced that the franchise dealer system is still the absolute best system to deliver vehicles, support the community. We're convinced of that fact, but it takes a lot of overcoming a misguided perception that our industry for the last 20 to 30 years have led customers to believe. And do not forget the fact that that's the perception that everybody approaches our industry with. And not everybody, but a mass majority of the public, including national news, and the frame, the lenses at which they see everything are tinted by that. And so don't think that people aren't paying attention to rising prices high over MSRP, loan acquisition, all of those types of things. Don't think that they aren't paying attention. And even if it looks like sunshine and rainbows on the front end, that it might not be that way on the back end.
Well, speaking of thinking it's sunshine and rainbows on the front end.
Stop. Segue.
Time. All right. We're talking about the same topic, but just to put another exclamation point at the end of Kyle's statement, this morning at 6:54 a.m., Wall Street Journal drops an article entitled, "Car Dealerships Don't Want Your Cash. They Want to Give You a Loan." Why do you think that is? Well, we all know why that is. And well, maybe not. If you're in the industry, your store makes money when you get a vehicle financed through a bank. So the banks say, hey, Mr. Dealer, we want to offer loans to your customers. And if you sell our product to your customer, we'll give you a certain percentage of the loan back as revenue. That is what makes back end revenue in an auto deal, right?
Which is not a bad thing. This is not a bad thing. Like, it's not a bad thing for people in the industry or customers to know about. Everybody's making money on wholesale to retail prices. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you are selling something or money, that's how money's made. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but at all. It's part of business.
So continue.
But here's where it can become a bad thing really quickly, and you might not even know it. The article highlights Lexus dealer that pushed a customer into financing. The customer wanted to pay cash, and they said, well, it's $2,000 more if you pay cash, right? Which is basically probably what they were making on the loan. Well, fast forward this story a little bit. Obviously, the customer's inconvenienced, think, well, maybe I'll just take the loan, pay it off later, right? You're making them do all the work, first of all. And second of all, the dealer's like, when Wall Street Journal approached the dealer, the dealer with the customer's complaint, the dealer said, well, look here, the customer gave us a 5-star review. That was like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do with that? The customer is giving you a 5-star review and then talking to Wall Street Journal about how upset they are that you made them finance a car or else pay more money. And the next part of the story is there's a Texas situation that's very, very similar, where Texas is like, we're going to investigate this, because in Texas, it's actually illegal to charge a different price based on method of payment. This is spiraling very quickly.
But it's layers on layers. And like, whatever side of the coin you're on, whatever feeling you have about marking up or not marking up, or pushing to loan or not, or, trade value, wherever you're at, single price, one price, negotiating price, I don't care where you're at on any of that. Perception is reality. And the perception of the car business right now on a franchise side is still one en masse that is not positive. And so it is going to take a lot of work from a lot of different people shifting that perception, right? And if you're just saying it's not the reality, then like put your eyes up just a little bit. Come with us and like just watch just a little bit, right?
Rob, can I pay with Bitcoin for no dealer fees? That's a two-sided answer. You can pay with Bitcoin. Actually, we have a partner. We're doing some stuff with them. You are going to be able to pay with Bitcoin soon, but you still got to pay the dealer fees if they have dealer fees. And the fact that they're dealer fees, it's kind of case in point. We're running out of time. Let's hit a couple more points. We have an article linked up in the show notes. We can never get to everything we want.
We can't get to everything. We just talked about we can do 6 podcasts a day and still be running.
We started the show off.
We won't. We promise.
We're not going to get through all this. Toyota's, think of just-in-time processing or just-in-time manufacturing. The Japanese manufacturers were definitely pioneered this. And if you don't know, part of the education, just-in-time means you don't stockpile parts. That means you want the part delivered to your manufacturing facility exactly the moment you need to put it in the car, just in time, right? And you save money on parts warehousing and obsolete parts. We're seeing a lot of the vulnerabilities of that right now. And Toyota hit another one. One of their suppliers had a cyber attack that didn't allow them to ship parts. All of a sudden, you realize there's another vulnerability for just-in-time manufacturing that slows things down. And it's just this world we live in. So understand that when you don't have inventory at your store, it's a complicated thing.
Absolutely.
It's not just chips, right? It's not just chips.
Right.
It's the world we live in. We have some other articles in the notes. I hate to do this, but there's so much good stuff in here.
Drop down to them. Watch out for Target with raising minimum wages. Be aware of what your people are seeing in the news right now and what that means for your need to keep them and the culture that it requires to make sure your employees are happy, growing, and succeeding.
And paid enough, because it's tough to say $12.50 is the right starting point for a lot porter when you can go down the street and make $18 at Amazon or $22 at Target. Just not going to put up with it. So, oh gosh, I'm already exhausted from all this.
We're moving. It's Tuesday.
Podcast. Sign up for the email, sodu.com. We'll put a lot of these articles in the email every day with some more commentary, a lot more announcements to come. We'll see you tomorrow.